get into this straight away. Messy hair on a weekend. I want to deliver value, so let's get going with why Rocky is more than just a boxing movie. This is the 7th part. We've spoken about Rocky and Sylvester Stallone's story by itself, incredible. Rocky getting a chance against a heavyweight champion, and all he wanted to do was go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance. Getting a rematch, winning the heavyweight belt, and then going on a 3-year journey and realizing that, or understanding or finding out that all of the people that you've competed against were handpicked, and feeling like it was all for nothing and it was all fake. They weren't really real successes. Then losing your mentor, your trainee, your best friend, losing a heavyweight belt, starting from the bottom again to come back up to regain your confidence and have your wife there as support, which is an incredible thing, winning back the belt, and then going on this crazy journey where one of his best friends, who he fought in the first 2 movies, Apollo, the heavyweight champion, he takes a chance, or he wants to go prove himself against the Russian. Now the Russian ends up killing Apollo. So Rocky takes it upon himself to take vengeance, and he goes to Russia, and he ends up winning over the crowd because they all hate him, but in the end then cheering Rocky's name, and he battled through it and he got revenge. And you know, he says that if I can change and you can change, we all can change. Such a political thing with what was going on with like Russia and America at that time as well. So boxing movie, let's continue. Then we go into number 5. So number 5, he's come back from Russia and he realizes, or he's found out, or he's in such pain from taking such a pummeling from the Russian that his hands can't stop shaking. He's told by the doctors he can't box again, but to add to it, he's lost everything. Because Paulie signed away everything to the attorney, and the attorney took all of his money. Imagine you come across your biggest challenge ever, you think you've overcome it, only to come home and find out it's even worse. Horrible, horrible, horrible. He thinks he can win it back by boxing, but the doctors told him he can't ever box again, so what do you do? Now, what do you do with something like that? But what I didn't mention in the movie, or in the last one, sorry, which is so important from Rocky 5, was the relationship between him and his son. Now, his son in the movie actually is his real son in real life, and he actually lost his son a few years ago, so that makes it even more of a bond, really, more of something which we're going to go into now. And in the movie, he ends up training Tommy, and Tommy gives Tommy all of his time, and this bond which he had with his son was slowly just fading away. And in the end, his son turns to the streets, but before that, he actually beats up the bully. And that was a crazy thing. So he starts school, they've lost all this money, he has to go to this school which Rocky went to, you know, from a prep school to a public school, whatever you want to call it. And the moment he gets there, he's jumped, because supposedly he's not street smart. And he ends up realizing that for him to kind of be strong and do what he needs to do and overcome these bullies, he needs to learn to fight. So as Rocky is training Tommy, the son is in the background training as well. Rocky's paying no attention at all. His focus is on Tommy. You know, the son-father relationship is slowly fading apart. And Rocky's son ends up beating up this bully. But this bully ends up becoming friends with the son, and he ends up going down a dark path, hanging on the streets. And when it comes to the point where Rocky collides with Tommy, he realizes that he's lost everything with his son, and he has to win it back. And you know, I go into this quite a bit because the relationship between father and son is so strong. You look at your father, you look at them for understanding what life is about. You kind of base who you are on your father and your mother as well. So for me, like, to have a father like that, which I do, I have a very close father and we communicate every day, thank God. But then to have that where all of a sudden you've got all the attention in the world to no attention, it must be a horrible thing. And I know people watching this now that have grown up without fathers, or have had a father that was there but very distant. So I think that I wanted to bring that up because that's a very, very important part of the movie. It really shows the true side of Rocky, that, you know, you can make mistakes, and he did make mistakes, and he continues to make mistakes. Was Rocky 6 a mistake? Let's get into this right now. So Rocky 6 is set around about 15 to 20 years later. Rocky has no business being in the ring at all. But at the beginning of the movie, they do this matchup in a video game between Rocky and the current heavyweight champion. And the current heavyweight champion is in the situation which the heavyweight division was a few years ago. Of there was, it was all bums, just full of bums. And he's this heavyweight champion, but he's not fought anybody of any real stature. So he's told that, you're just a paper champ and you haven't really proved yourself. So they do this video game, and that gets people thinking. It gets people's minds ticking. Like, could Rocky, in this video game, he actually beats the heavyweight champion? The pure grit and determination that Rocky had would overpower what this boxer had for him. So the promoters of the heavyweight champion, they know that he's not getting any sort of ticket revenue at the moment because nobody's even bothering to watch, because what's the point? It's going to win the match, it's going to win the fight. So they approach Rocky and they say to him, look, we want to do this exhibition fight. Would you be interested in it? And it's an emotional part where he talks about it with Paulie. And Paulie's like, why do you need to prove yourself? Why do you need to prove yourself? And he's like, look, there's something in my gut. And, and he eats away at me. He gets really emotional. It's a really touching part, because there's so many of us who have reached a certain age and we still know we've got more in us, but we're told by everyone else that we can't do it and we can't achieve it. And I know that relates with a lot of people. I'm not really sure what my audience is here, but I know that there's older people out there which know they can do more, and they know they have so much to offer. And when you see people apply for jobs and they're in their 50s and 60s, they're told like they've got too much experience. They should just go and retire. Like, it's a young man's world now, don't worry about it. And it's a horrible thing. And Rocky, he had this determination still, but he wanted to fight, and unfortunately the Boxing Federation have said that he can't. They said it would be wrong of them to give him license to actually box. And he goes in to the courtroom or the arena and speaks to these people, and it's a powerful, emotional speech, which is really cool to watch. There are a few parts to all Rocky movies where he has a sort of moment, a 1 minute, 2 minute speech. And the best one of all, I feel, is the talk that he had with his son. So his son is 20 years older. His son's become a banker, but he's always in the shadow of his father. And he wants to get out of the shadow of his father. And he confronts his father saying, look, I'm living in your shadow. You coming back out to the world and having this fight, I'm just finally starting to get a little bit ahead, and now you're going to take this from me. And Rocky starts with this speech. And I'm going to try and remember it right now, but it goes, I'm going to remember it. Come on, I know this. You probably already know this. You probably already know. I will remember it, but it's a powerful, powerful speech. Let me continue on, and it will, here we go. Let me tell you something you already know. The world is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, and nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not point fingers, say you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You better than that. Oh man, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. That sticks with me so much. It's something I listen to, and the son, who realizes he has to stand on his own. The shadow is there, but whatever, it doesn't matter. He's got to find his own way. And they end up hugging it, and it was a really, really cool part, because even though they connected in Rocky V, they distanced again. And what I haven't even mentioned really was the death of Adrian. So the woman which has inspired you to do so much, and to move mountains, to overcome the challenges of Clubber Lang and Apollo and the Russian, with the support of your wife, and she's passed away in the movie. And he's lost. He's lost, you can see that. And that's something which I see in my parents, which I'm very grateful for. That's something that I've grown up in, the love between my parents. I'm very grateful for that. Mum, if you're watching this, don't get emotional. And yeah, like that whole Rocky 6 movie is really about overcoming or being told, you know, you're 50, 60 years old and you should just be retiring and laying on the beach, but you know you've got more to offer. And if you see all the movies that have come out recently, like the crowd of people that attend cinemas is really an older generation now. It's a night out for them that go to the cinema. I know it's a bit restricted now because of COVID, but if people went out, it was like older people. And who they want to see? They want to see their heroes from 30, 40 years ago. And if you've got Sylvester Stallone, Arnie, Chuck Norris, Jet Li, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, all of these people, that's why they've got Bruce Willis, all these older people are making such a big name for themselves again in the cinema, because these older people want to see that. They want to see that people their age can still get out and do something. And that was what Rocky was all about. No matter how old you are, no matter what people tell you, you still have an opportunity. So I really hope you understand that Rocky is more than just a boxing movie. There are 2 more, Creed 1 and Creed 2. I'm going to leave it at this because for me, those original 5, and then Rocky 6, which I do actually like because of the lessons that it teaches you, and that speech as well, which I got there in the end. But I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I do put out podcasts on a weekly basis, documenting my journey, finding my way in public to success. I might start with another movie, maybe start doing a weekly thing on that. I'm not sure yet, but there are 7 episodes in total with this. I'm probably going to combine it together and put it into one show. And I just want to say thank you for joining me on this journey. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me right now. So thank you very much. Lots of love to all. Take care. See you.